Welcome to Soul Stories, where every tale touches the heart, inspires the mind, and stays with the soul.
Look, he's finally asleep.
He's so peaceful.
Asterisk 6 months had passed since the painful divorce, yet the wounds still felt fresh for Ahil. Asterisk, despite being a powerful CEO known for his sharp decisions and unshakable discipline, there was one part of his life he had failed miserably at: marriage. Asterisk, he buried himself in endless meetings, late-night work, and strict routines, pretending he had moved on. His employees believed he had become even colder, even quieter, but no one knew the truth. Every silence was filled with the echo of a name he didn't dare say out loud: Zoya. Asterisk, it was a gloomy morning, rain tapping softly against the tall glass windows of the city. Ahil stepped out of his car, adjusting his suit as he walked toward a cafe where he was scheduled to meet an international investor. He pushed the door open, shaking off the water droplets, and entered with his usual unreadable expression. Asterisk, but the moment he looked up, his world stopped. Asterisk, there, sitting by the window where the soft gray light fell gently across her face, was Zoya, his ex-wife, the woman he once loved more than his own breath, the woman he pushed away with his own stubbornness. Asterisk, and she wasn't alone. Asterisk, in her arms rested a tiny baby wrapped in a soft blue blanket. His tiny fingers peeked from the fabric, curling and uncurling as if he were reaching for something in a dream. The baby's small face was peaceful, innocent, unaware of the emotional storm forming only a few steps away. Asterisk, Zoya hadn't changed much. If anything, she looked softer, gentler. Motherhood sat on her like a warm glow. Her smile as she looked at the child was something Ahil had never seen during their last months together, a smile full of warmth, tenderness, and a love deeper than words. Ahil couldn't breathe. His heartbeat echoed loudly in his ears. Asterisk, a baby, with her already... Asterisk, a thought struck him like lightning. Asterisk, he didn't move, didn't blink, didn't think. Asterisk, all he could feel was the sharp sting of jealousy, the ache of loss, the weight of regret pressing onto his chest. His mind raced. How, when, with whom? Asterisk, 6 months wasn't enough for her to meet someone new, fall in love, get married, and have a baby. It didn't make sense. Yet the sight was right there, undeniable. Heartbreaking. Asterisk, he took one slow step forward, but his legs felt heavy. Almost trembling, his mouth went dry. His entire identity as a controlled, powerful CEO crumbled in a second. Asterisk, because nothing had prepared him to see the love of his life, holding a child that wasn't his. Asterisk, or so he believed.
I'm there.
We can't just leave him here.
What if some...
I know, but we have to think this through. It's not safe right now.
Ahil couldn't focus on anything for the rest of the day. His meeting went terribly, numbers blurred, words dissolved, and every time he tried to think straight, the image of Zoya holding that baby returned like an arrow piercing his chest. Asterisk, he sat in his office long after everyone had left, hands trembling slightly as he replayed the scene over and over. The baby's soft blue blanket, Zoya's peaceful expression, the way she cradled the child with a love he had never seen from her before. Asterisk, why didn't she tell me? Asterisk, who is the father? Asterisk, how could she move on so fast? Questions twisted inside him until he couldn't take it anymore. As evening shadows stretched across the city, he found himself walking back to the cafe where he had seen her. His expansive shoes splashed through puddles, his breath uneven, his heart racing like he was about to step into a courtroom where his entire life was on trial. Asterisk, Zoya was just stepping out, holding the baby close to her chest, humming softly to keep him asleep. Ahil stopped a few feet away, his voice almost breaking as he spoke. Is that your baby? Zoya froze for a moment. Silence hung heavy between them, filled with the sound of distant traffic and falling rain. Asterisk, her eyes lifted to his, and something unreadable passed through them: pain, hesitation, and a truth she had carried alone for months. Finally, she whispered, "This is our baby." The world around him collapsed. He blinked, unable to understand what he had just heard. Asterisk, my what? Zoya, you never told me. Asterisk, her jaw tightened, eyes glistening not with weakness, but with the strength of someone who had endured too much alone. Asterisk, you never gave me the chance, she said softly, but each word cut him deeper than a knife. Asterisk, you ended everything so quickly. You signed the divorce papers, packed your things, and walked out of my life. I tried to call you, I tried to tell you, but you blocked me. Ahil felt the air leave his lungs like someone had punched him. Blocked her? Yes, he had. In anger, in pride, in the heat of an argument he now barely remembered, except for the way his heart had shattered when she cried. Asterisk, Zoya looked down at the baby, gently adjusting the blanket around him. Asterisk, I was pregnant and alone. Ahil, I waited, hoping you would come back, hoping you would ask how I was, but you never did. Asterisk, her voice trembled, and the truth hit him harder than any business failure ever could. He hadn't just lost his wife. He had abandoned her when she needed him most, without even knowing. Asterisk, and now, the child in her arms, his child, was a living reminder of the truth he never knew. Asterisk sleepless nights followed for Ahil. Long, torturous nights where every regret echoed louder than the ticking clock on his bedroom wall. He would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every argument, every careless word, every moment. He had let his pride win over love. He remembered the way Zoya used to wait for him at dinner, the way she tried to talk when their marriage was falling apart. Asterisk, the way he brushed her concerns aside because work felt more manageable than emotions. Asterisk, he had been blind to her loneliness, blind to her silent tears, asterisk blind to the life growing inside her, and now, the weight of it all pressed on him like a mountain. The next morning, and the morning after that, and the one after. He found himself going to Zoya's apartment. He didn't ask to enter, he didn't even expect her to open the door sometimes. He simply showed up, quietly, consistently, like someone begging the universe for another chance. Asterisk, at first, Zoya was dissonant. Asterisk, her expressions were neutral, her voice controlled, her eyes guarded. She had built walls high enough that even memories couldn't climb over. Asterisk, but she didn't push him away entirely. Asterisk, little by little, Ahil offered help carrying groceries, fixing a loose door hinge, buying baby supplies without being asked. He never stayed long. He didn't want to make her uncomfortable. He just wanted her to know he was there. Asterisk, one day, as she placed the baby Iron into his arms reluctantly, she said in a low voice, Asterisk, you hurt me, Ahil. I can't trust you. So, her words were honest, painful, and completely deserved. Ahil nodded, swallowing the sting. Asterisk, I know, and I'm not asking you to trust me today. Just let me be the father he deserves. And so began the slow rebuilding. He attended every doctor checkup, listening carefully to instructions, asking questions he never imagined a CEO like him would ask about feeding schedules, sleep cycles, allergies, teething. Asterisk, he learned how to hold his son gently, how to support his tiny neck, how to soothe him when he cried. Asterisk, the first time Iron wrapped his tiny fingers around Ahil's thumb, something inside Ahil broke and healed at the same time. Asterisk, the man who once commanded entire boardrooms now stood humbly in a small apartment, rocking his child at 3 a.m., whispering apologies only the walls could hear. Asterisk, for the first time in his life, Ahil wasn't the CEO everyone feared. He wasn't the arrogant husband who walked away. He was just a man trying to fix what he had shattered, a man learning how to love gently, a man fighting to earn back the two people who should have always been his first priority. Asterisk, he was humble, he was human, and he was finally becoming the father and maybe the partner he should have been all along. One quiet evening, the city lights shimmered outside Zoya's apartment window as the soft hum of night filled the room. Ahil stood by the door, unsure whether to stay or step back. He had spent months proving himself, showing up with patience, with humility, with a heart, finally learning how to love without ego. Asterisk, Zoya watched him as he hesitated, her expression unreadable. Then, without a word, she gently lifted Yain from his crib and walked toward him. The baby stretched his tiny arms, making soft sounds only a parent would understand. She placed Ion carefully into Ahil's arms. He smiles when he hears your voice. He knows you, she whispered. The words cracked something open inside him. Ahil looked down at his son, who blinked up at him with innocent eyes that held none of the pain, none of the mistakes, none of the history between his parents, only pure trust. Ahil's vision blurred. I will spend the rest of my life earning your trust back, he said, voice thick with emotion. Asterisk, and his eye promised. Asterisk, Zoya didn't respond immediately. She studied him quietly, her gaze lingering on the softness of his expression, the careful way he held their child, the sincerity that radiated from every word. Asterisk. She had seen a different version of him over the past months, a man who had learned to apologize, learned to listen, learned to show love in ways she once begged for. A man who finally understood what fatherhood meant, what partnership meant. Asterisk, finally, she exhaled a slow, trembling breath and nodded. Let's start again, she said softly. Not for us, but for our own. Asterisk, but they both knew the truth. Starting again for their son also meant giving themselves a chance to heal, to rebuild, to rediscover each other without the shadows of the past. Asterisk, Ahil stepped forward, even though his legs felt weak with relief. With one hand holding his son close, he wrapped his other arm gently around Zoya. She didn't pull away. For the first time in a long time, she leaned into him cautiously, but willingly. Asterisk, in that moment, something shifted. Asterisk, the coldness of the past melted into the warm promise of a future neither of them expected but both desperately needed. Asterisk, 6 months after their divorce, fate returned the family Ahil thought he had lost forever. Not through grand gestures or dramatic confessions, but through quiet evenings, shared responsibilities, whispered truths, tiny hands, and the courage to try again. Their new beginning wasn't perfect. It was gentle, uncertain, fragile, but filled with hope. Asterisk, and sometimes hope was enough to rebuild a life, enough to rebuild a love, enough to bring a family back home.